What's up, Finstock Nation? Today we're going to go in and talk about Miami Dolphins Training Camp Day 12. I'm going to read to you some news and notes, and then a depth piece that I found interesting from Chris Perkins of Sun Sentinel, and then get into the pressers and also pop up some quick clips of who was the orange fan of the day and who was the orange jersey of the day, and then Tyreek Hill making a catch, and then another pass from Tua to Tyreek Hill, and then we'll get into the pressers. Miami Dolphins wide receiver Tyreek Hill did not practice Wednesday due to an injury. Hill didn't go through the entire practice Tuesday, but it was tough to know the reason for sure, because it was a day when veterans such as edge rusher Jalen, Phillips, and Bradley Chubb operated on limited snaps. Miami Dolphins wide receiver Tyreek Hill didn't practice Wednesday due to injury. It appears Hill didn't go through the entire practice Tuesday, but it was tough to know the reason for sure, because it was the day veterans such as edge rusher Jalen, Phillips, and Bradley Chubb operated on limited snaps. Hill was late to practice one day during training camp, but was receiving treatment for soreness. There was no more information provided. Wednesday's practice was well attended, perhaps because it was the last one before the Dolphins leave town on an 11-day road trip to Chicago and Detroit. The Dolphins fly to Chicago on Wednesday evening, practice there on their own Thursday, and have a joint practice against the Bears Friday, and play the preseason opener in Chicago on Sunday. Linebacker Jordan Brooks lit it up. Tight end Julian Hill after a 2-yard reception late in practice. Players aren't supposed to be making big hits in camp. This one drew oohs and ahs from the crowd. Brooks stood over Hill and celebrated, but credited Hill, who had struggled to catch passes, for holding onto the ball. Nice job, both players. One-on-ones. O-line versus D-line. Overall, the likely starting O-line won narrowly, and the backup D-line won. Left tackle Patrick Paul remains a brick wall. He shuts down edge rusher Bradley Chubb twice, once drawing an offside penalty. Edge rusher Chop Robinson put an outside move on Paul that would have forced the QB to step up in the pocket in a nice job by Robinson, but Paul shut him down in their next repetition. Paul has been a star in camp. In other one-on-one, O-line, D-line, among likely starters, edge rusher Jalen Phillips defeated right tackle Larry Room, right guard James Daniels defeated Zach Zeeler, nose tackle Benito Jones had a tie with center Aaron Brewer. Defensive tackle Kenneth Grant defeated right guard Jonas Savaianaya. More one-on-ones. Defensive tackle Mike Dickerson defeated guard Jackson Carman. Edge rusher Quinn Bell defeated offensive tackle Jalen McKenzie. Defensive tackle Alex Hunley tied with Josh Prevey. Wide receiver Malik Washington wore the orange jersey, symbolic of the player of the day from the previous practice. Washington, also a return man, is the likely leader for the slot receiver. Safety Fatu Malefalu, recently reactivated from the non-football injury list, remains limited. He didn't do any 11-on-11. Tagovailoa threw an incompletion on a checkdown to running back Jalen Wright due to good coverage. There were probably 3 or 4 coverage sacks Tuesday. Nice job by pass coverage team. Quarterback Quinn Ewers appears to have his workload reduced during 11-on-11. It's unclear what that means, but it does seem to be a negative. Perhaps quarterback Zach Wilson will start versus Chicago on Sunday, and he's being prepared for that duty. Running back Devon A-Chain had a run that went for 15 yards, but Zeeler strung it out against Savaianaya. Zeeler celebrated as though he as though he felt he had made the tackle for no gain. It was tough to determine if Zeller would have gotten off the block to make the play. Nice job by Zeller and Samaya. Safety Elijah Campbell and cornerback Jack Jones had bracketed coverage on wide receiver Nick Westbrook, forcing Tagovailoa to throw the ball away. Another nice job by the secondary. Right tackle Larry Broom picked up nickel cornerback Mike Hilton on a blitz, but Robinson came from the inside unblocked to sack Tagovailoa. Hard to say whether it was a miscommunication in the pass protection or whether the defense had an extra man attacking. The run game missing right tackle Austin Jackson and fullback Alec Ingold had moderate success. The run game took a dive last season when Jackson and Ingold were all together. It'll be something to watch in the joint practice at Chicago and preseason game on Sunday. Inside linebacker Willie Gay Jr. had a sack on Zach Wilson. Gay followed his most quiet day of camp by making a few plays. Gay pressured Wilson into a throwaway later. A few plays later, Gay batted down a pass from Wilson at the line of scrimmage. Gay continues to ball. Defensive tackle Matt Dickerson might have had a sack on Wilson on a pass play. At the very least, he'd have had a hit. The play resulted in wide receiver Estrich tipping the pass to himself before making a reception for a maybe 20-yard gain. Tight end Farrell Brown blocked safety Minka Fitzpatrick on a blitz in a play that resulted in a Tagovailoa incompleted pass. It was a sign of progress from the pass protection unit, which had been vulnerable to DBs coming untouched at QBs. Defensive tackle Matthew Butler forced running back Jaylen Wright and pursued him and held him for no gain. Butler continues to flash. Cornerback Ethan Bonner, who has had a quiet camp, stripped Achane of a pass from Tagovailoa. Achane, who had maybe a 15-yard gain. Excellent play by Bonner. Tagovailoa hit wide receiver Jalen Waddle on the slant for maybe a 20-yard gain with cornerback stormed up in the coverage. That Tagovailoa to Waddle connection keeps producing. Fitzpatrick sacked Tagovailoa from the middle to sack. It was a nice bounce back job by defensive coordinator Anthony Weaver after his blitzes by defensive backs had been solved for a few plays. Chubb got around Paul for a sack in a situational 11-on-11. It was rare win for Chubb versus Paul, who has been a brick wall. Safety Jordan Colbert had a hard hit on wide receiver Andrew Armstrong on a pass from Wilson, a pass that was thrown in a bad spot for Armstrong. Players aren't actually hitting, but Colbert, who is having a good camp, would have lit up Armstrong. Chubb's brace on his right knee has gotten bigger as camp progresses. He wore a tape early in camp and then went to a small brace. Most recently, he's had the bigger brace that he sometimes removes and puts it on again. Robinson had a 3-yard tackle for loss against newly signed right tackle German Right Run. Robinson beat Efe a couple of times on Wednesday. Cornerback Kendall Sheffield had an interception on a Wilson pass. There was a false start on the play, so that wouldn't have counted. But it was nice to see Sheffield make a play. He struggled. Stock up. Linebacker Willie Gay had a sack, quarterback pressure, and a batted down pass against QB Zach Wilson. Gay continues to show his impressive playmaking ability in camp. It's hard to keep him off the field. Stock down. Center guard Daniel Brunskill has been tough sledding for the newly signed Brunskill, who had a snap sail over Wilson's head. Brunskill has yet found his footing at guard or center. He struggled in one-on-ones on Wednesday. Okay, those are the news and notes. So we're going to go to the Mike McDaniel presser.
Yeah, no, he's had a great camp. Really stepped his game up and very impressed with his play. He will be out. It'll be weeks, but he's built a strong foundation. One of the top really performers, and you want to talk about growth of game, one of the top guys that from year 1 to year 2 has made tremendous strides. So we'll be looking forward to whenever he does get back.
We see Jason Marshall doing some things. Do you think football activity could be weeks away, or is this a day-to-day thing with him?
Well, I mean, technically he's always doing something, because if he's doing nothing, then that's something, right? He'll be practicing today a little bit, and hopefully we'll keep him out there. But we have a measured approach today for him.
Mike, how's Alec Engel doing?
He's in the protocol. He's doing well. He's probably once or twice a week. He comes up to my office about 6 a.m. And he's still doing that. So we had a nice conversation this morning, and he's progressing.
What do you hope to get out of upcoming joint practices?
Well, the joint practices are fantastic for a multitude of reasons. But first and foremost, I think you're trying to see it's the best opportunity to give guys a chance to make the team. We're very much focused on the team and competing within it. But you go to a joint practice, you get to take all the tools that you've been refining, and you get to try to do responsibilities much further beyond result based, but executing techniques and fundamentals. It's invaluable. And then the discipline that it takes to play 3/4 football, non-tackle football. Joint practices are a challenge, but it'll be good for our football team to strain between the whistle and get back to the huddle and do it again. So that competitive spirit, I'll be looking forward to. I feel like I'll have a better vision of what the team is after today. I don't believe in skipping steps, and this team is very much grabbed onto that. So before joint, put your eye block on for today's practice, because this is going to be a good one.
Mike, regarding Grayson Murphy, he's a guy that we always seem to see in the backfield. They're getting penetration, chasing the quarterback. Jalen Phillips said he thinks he's the best pure pass rusher on the team. What have you seen from him and his growth since that injury last year?
Well, I think the football player is the draw. This guy has natural close quarter contact, vision, bend. He can hold the point. He can do a lot of things. And so what you're trying to do with a natural pass rushing skill set is fit it within the responsibilities of the defense, and that's where his focus is on. A lot of, for guys like that, you get on the field, on first and second down, setting the edge and being consistent with that. He has the ability. And he's just refining when to use all of his tools. He's progressed a ton. I like where he's at, and his main focus is utilizing that natural pass rush ability within the scheme, within the rush patterns, not rushing too high over the quarterback and not giving up the C gap. Those are the mantras of the edge position in our defense, and he's working on being as consistent as possible, because every play, the entirety of the defense is depending on the edge.
Mike, kind of sticking with things that Jalen Phillips said yesterday.
Man.
Interesting chat about Patrick Paul, the trash talker. But he said that what's interesting about him is not that he talks trash. He's been doing it since last year. But this year he feels like he can actually back it up. And so from a coach's perspective, have you seen
that's a good part? That's a good part of the whole trash talking, the whole equation. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, no, I think he's, like a lot of people, he's out to prove something. But he understands the connectivity of the work and the result. not chasing the result, chasing the work to get the results. I think it's the ebbs and flows for Pat. It's much like I'd coach a quarterback where I know he can block people. I talked to him, and I use the same example as I've always used with Tua. Is much of my evaluation process is after a play that I know he doesn't like, and that's something he's very much focused on, because you start getting confidence, and you feel as though you can block everyone on every play. That's great, but what happens when you don't? Because you won't. You know what I mean? So he's really leaning into that, and I think that for the whole offensive line, I think collectively, he fits within a culture that they're creating, which is all about everything that they do, their focus, their intentionality, and their strain. And I think the talk, much like Jalen's describing it, is a thing that's they may or may not choose to do. The focus has been on the work and his game. So his one-lining trash talking probably hasn't evolved as much as his game, which is what I'd want, because his focus has been on that.
Like last year when Austin Jackson and Alec Ingold were out together, the run game took a little bit of a dive, which you would expect. Mm-hmm. They're out together again now. What did you learn last year, and how can you apply that moving forward right now?
No, I think that was you learn a lot from problem solving to what the reasons for those incremental or those gains, and really it's the displacement at the point of attack that both those players were really adept at, and we used those players in our foundational teaching of the whole group, and trying to get more weapons in the run game. And what I've seen thus far is that we do have the foundation, the player foundation here to be able to be better at it in a situation that we're in the last year. So not having your right tackle and fullback. I've seen a lot more production, block for block and play for play this year than last. So I think I hadn't thought about it that way, but if I were to, it is a good measuring stick relative to where we were at last year. We've had a lot of focus on what made those guys be impactful players and applying it to a lot of other people's game, and I think we're getting better in that regard.
On that note, how valuable has it been to get Larry Borum some elevated reps now?
It's been extremely valuable because we had, I think Larry and I think the Dolphins both saw elements of his game that could really, really grow based upon his technique and fundamentals, what they were asking him to do previous. So we saw a fit based on all of our reps in draft and free agency over the years, and he's really he came with a chip on his shoulder, and he's really met and exceeded expectations in that way. That being said, part of that whole thing is the constant evolution, to get your technique connected with the runner, connected with the passer, connected with the receivers, and all those things. You have to diligently find those techniques and then maintain them. So Larry doesn't blink each and every day. It's such an important part of the offensive lineman productivity down the stretch of the season is, are you willing to continue to master things that many would find boring? Larry Borum is about the only boring part of his game to me. He's really put a lot of work into it, and it's cool to see very valuable reps against some very difficult pass rushers to block.
Offensive line, how happy have you been with that group as a whole and their ability to pick up the different rushes and sim pressures and all the things that can be thrown in an offensive line?
Well, I think that, it's one of the reasons I, gravitated towards this defensive scheme with Coach Weaver is they give a lot of protection issues or systematically while being able to throw a lot at you, but it's not that much to them. And in that process, it makes your offensive line collectively better. I've seen, pass pro and in the run game, a nice evolution thus far in camp relative to where we've been every year. So far so good with that. But the biggest part that I think that will really last the test of the season is the collective culture of the O-line room, and really the between Brew and Austin Jackson, and you're talking about guys ascending like Patrick, and then you have everything that Liam brings, the collective culture of the offensive line room. You come to practice and you feel their presence, and they're not, it's the hottest for those guys. And when you can have a mentality and kind of a way you play that you're proud of, that you earn, offensive lines can kind of dictate the tenacity of your football team. So I know they've taken that challenge on, and that's what I feel more than anything is that we have a group of guys that are going to lay it all out there, but they are prideful and are starting to develop their own unique flavor of, and style of football play.
Mike,
when you look at your safeties aside from Minka and Iffy, it seems like we've seen stuff from Ashton, Elijah, Saunders, Colbert. I'm wondering what you've seen from that group and what you think of the depth right now.
It's super competitive, and I've seen a lot of guys focus on the details of playing their position, not as focused as, all right, did a ball get thrown in my direction? And that diligent play after play, breaking on angles, putting themselves in position to make vice tackles, those things. It's going to be super, super competitive. And today it'll be in joint, it'll be in preseason. It's going to be one of the groups that guys are going to have to earn their separation from the rest of the pack. And right now, we have a lot of good play. I see NFL talent all over the crew, and as we press forward, see different offenses, see different tools that this offense has. We're gonna, we'll see some separation, but right now, to their credit, it's a very competitive group that's very deep, and these are very important days, each one of them, in really moving forward.
I wanted to ask you about 230-plus guys who were not in NFL offseason programs, just to see how they're coming along. Obviously, with Waller, I don't know if you brought your crystal ball to give us an idea of when he might come off PUP. And with Hilton, are you limiting his snaps at all in camp? We see Cornell getting a lot of nickel work. Are you weaving him back in slowly because he wasn't in May, June practices in an NFL team?
Well, with Waller, it's looking about. It's a little tricky because you're bringing a guy back, and is his first practice a joint practice. So it's about a week, but it's a little tricky in terms of what practice, and we'll feel our way through that. And you're just trying to be smart with that. And the rotation on the back end, we're intentionally keeping very varied. at a lot of places to give a lot of people ops to compete. And I think each player in our secondary will get their opportunity. Some days we're heavily repping one guy over the other, but just in general, we're trying to tool ourselves, refine how we play football against each other as a team, and then when we get done with doing that, we'll take our group on the road and compete against other guys. That will be very, very important practices and preseason exposure for everyone. So we've been building for this competition for a while, and I'm pretty excited to see how it unfolds, to tell you the truth.
Mike, what has stood out about Zach Wilson's training camp work so far?
He's really starting from the off-season program. When you get veteran players, it's a different timeline sometimes where you have all the stuff you've done up until that point, and techniques, fundamentals, and stuff, and then the stuff we're asking. How long are you going to resist? How fast will you jump into how we're doing things? And I think Zach's play has caught the attention of a lot of his teammates, and that was I could have reasonably predicted that based on how quickly he leaned in to what we're doing. I think that room in general is giving us a chance to have a very competitive football practice in its entirety. And I've been some of the stuff with our timing and inside the just the aggressive reads we ask quarterbacks to do, and sometimes turning their back, doing a lot of different footworks and ball handlings. He's owned it, and is almost every practice I get to see that the thrower spin a throw in our offense that is pretty impressive, and it's stacking. So I'm excited about where he's at. He's come a long way with the team, just by his how he's leading his unit, and guys have started to notice for sure.
I'm curious about your evaluation process during the joint practices. From where I sit, it's kind of two sets of teams, right? You have two up-and-coming teams with the Jaguars and Bears, and an established team with the Lions. Does the evaluation process change?
Yeah, it's completely different, for sure, and it's a lot more tape, because I'm calling plays, and seeing. For portions of the practice, not all of it, but for portions, I'm only seeing half the team, where I'm used to seeing everything. I have different mechanisms within a practice to, have an idea of everything that's going on, but I can't be two places at once, and it's the only time there's two places of things going on. So you catch back up on that with tape. It's a much longer process of watching tape, because you're essentially watching two practices worth, but it's all the more fun, and there's a lot. Joint practices historically have always been on the field with your coaching staff. You get word of mouth on this happened or this happened, and then you get a fun little present when you get back to the hotel and check it out.
Last question.
Not to look too far into the future, but any early lean on whether any starters would play in the preseason opener?
Yeah, I'm leaning on this day early and often, and then that joint practice, full transparency. The haven't communicated to the players either. Just we're my eyes are wide open, and I'm seeing what happens today with the football team. We'll have a joint practice, and then we'll talk about how we're going to attack that preseason game. But I'm not allowing guys to look forward. The best way to do that is literally give them no information.
Alrighty then, guys. Now we are going to listen to. Before we continue, I'm going to start popping up the clips I have to the Tyreek, the team working out, team stretching, the orange jersey, which is, I'll let you guess in 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Malik Washington. And then Tyreek making another catch. Now we're going to go to the Derek McLendon pressure.
What led you from FSU to Colorado, if you could go back over that?
Honestly, just me and Coach, one of their coaches on their staff, he was at Florida State in 2019. Coach David Kelly, he left and Dion brought him on staff at Colorado. Going into my senior year at Florida State, they reached out to me, and just from there on, I felt like they could help me get to where I was trying to get to, which was the NFL.
It's good to be on a practice squad last year. That's better than nothing. But
Yes,
were
sir.
you disappointed not being on a 53 somewhere last year?
I was. That's just the competitive nature in me. But honestly, thanking God for just being able to be in a facility, because a lot of guys are back at home on their couch. So, yes, sir.
Why are you able to get to the quarterback, and what do you do well? I was asking Grayson about that, and he said he uses his hands because he's not that big. What do you use? What allows you to get to the quarterback?
I'm deceptively powerful. I know that I don't look it. I'm about 255 pounds. And also being able to bend. My ability to bend is something that I predicate my game off of. And so, yes, sir.
Tell me about the bend, because who was the guy who used to bend and he would almost be down on the ground, almost hit like.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Quinn.
Yes, sir.
Tell me what that bend does for you and what it does to an offensive lineman trying to block.
Yes, sir. So me being 6'3", my bend, I can get down to about 5'10", 5'11". Most of your tackles, most of your offensive linemen 6'6" and above. Their bend is probably at about 6'3". So just the science behind it, I don't feel like they can bend with me, and my abruptness to be able to get back up is what I like to. I think that it gets the offensive lineman off beat.
When did you discover that? High school, college, NFL?
So I was blessed with a lot of mentors. Brandon Lane, Steve McLendon, ex-NFL players, and those guys throughout high school, they constantly taught me how to bend, how to get off the ball and go straight into my bend. And so I've taken that with me, and I've carried that along the way.
What were kind of the marching orders in your postseason meeting with Coach Weaver and Ryan Crow about where they wanted you to improve?
Just honestly learning the playbook, bringing in that playbook last year, be it that I came in the first week of the season, everything was going so fast. 3 or 4 installs had already been, they had already gone through 3 or 4 installs. So being able to go through OTAs, mini camp, and really just get those installs in, and now on my 3rd or 4th install, the playbook is becoming like a back of my hand type thing. Yes, sir.
Tell me about the competition to be on the 53. I mean, we know Chubb, Chop, and Jalen Phillips, but I mean, you and Q Bell and Mo Camara. I mean, this Murphy. It's loaded.
Yes, sir.
It's loaded.
Yes, sir.
Do you judge yourself every day, every week? Do you worry about that? Do you stress it? Is that healthy? What's your approach?
My approach is just a day-by-day approach. Our coach, Ryan Crow, he told us going into this season, this was going to be the most competitive room maybe in the NFL. And so I welcome that. A lot of coming from my high school, Tucker High School, Florida State, Colorado, a lot of those were very competitive environments as well. And so I felt like I was prepped for that task at hand. So just a day-by-day mentality.
And going up to Chicago and Detroit, you know, Detroit is known as one of the most physical teams in the league. Chicago upgraded their O-line to protect Caleb. What are you looking to show up there against those teams?
Yes, sir. Honestly, just showing, like I said, showing that I know my stuff, showing that I can play at that physical level. I can make plays at those levels, and just honestly having fun, man. That's where my game is. I feel like I separate myself from a lot of guys. I really love having fun. This is an honor, man. This is an honor just to be able to play this game. And so every time I step on that field, man, I'm just trying to have fun.
All right, guys, that is McClendon. What he's trying to learn from year 1 to year 2 under Weaver. Basically, that's what he spoke about. Next, Patrick Paul.
So we found out some very funny information about you yesterday.
What'd you find out?
That you talk a little bit of trash.
Me?
Yes, you.
Nah.
And so I wanted, 1, to see if you could give us a sample, and 2, just what does that do for you as a player?
I think it makes it fun. You know, one of my favorite athletes growing up was Conor McGregor, and I liked his approach to it. He'd beat the people before he even went against them, just purely off of getting in their head. So yeah, it's just, you know, depends on the person. Depends on the day they're having also, their approach. But it's easy to get under someone's skin. It doesn't even have to be something crazy, just something minute. Like a laughter when you're locking somebody up, that'll get them, I'm not gonna lie. So it really depends on the person, and you know, you just have to have fun with it. That's all.
I think that's what Jalen said you doing to him. You be kind of geeking at him, you know, after you beat him a little bit. What do you know, is that true?
That's a true statement, but you know, he doesn't like that. But you know, it's just competing at the same day. You know, that's my brother. Actually, we're actually neighbors, and yeah, so we're real close. So it's all love.
How great is it to finally get a chance to hit some other people outside of your own teammates?
I'm excited. Yeah, finally, you know, getting to go over there, get out of this heat. Yeah, we're gonna be flowing. We're gonna be flying around. Yeah.
Is part of the phenomenon of trash talking going that after you do it, you kind of have to back it up at that point?
You do. That's the big thing behind it. It's like, I mean, if you're gonna do it, you must win. So, you know, that's the other aspect to it that really makes you go harder. So, yeah.
How deep are you willing to go with that? Because like, you'll hear stories of quarterbacks, especially because they talk, and it's like they'll find out the name of the 8th grade girlfriend that dumped the receiver. Or like, how deep do you go with that?
I'm pretty surface level. I'm not going to go deep like that. Not at all. You know, I'll stick to like the laughter, little, you know, annoying things to do to somebody. Not like, I'm not going to get deep with it. Not at all.
Pat, this morning Mike talked about your commitment to the process of chasing the process versus the results. You've talked about your workout, all of the stuff you did this offseason.
Yeah.
How does it feel to see all that hard work kind of come to fruition and get so many valuable days and reps out here in practice?
I mean, it's amazing. And, you know, it's like you said, the process. And it's a constant thing, you know, it never really kind of stops. You're just constantly doing it and then just logging those reps day by day, pushing the same things, being a routine guy. So, I mean, it's a constant, you know, constant thing.
You also talked about the ability of the front five to play connected against all the pressures that weave this defense throws at you. And I've thought you've done a good job of that as well. We see your physical traits, but in terms of the mental, how would you say that's coming along for you and the group as a whole in front?
I mean, it's going great. You know, when they throw those at you every day at practice, you're going to learn to, you know, pick those things up with, you know, the quickest things. And now that you've seen so many of them, you're going to see the keys, you're going to note, you're going to be able to see the rotations, where they're at, where they're lined up at, and just be able to react. Second nature. Okay.
What are you personally looking to get out of the joint practices starting Friday and Thursday?
What am I looking to get out of it?
Yeah.
To whoop on them, you know? You know what I mean? To compete and have fun and, you know, show what we've been working, you know, show what we've been building here for these past 3 weeks. Yeah.
How confident do you feel with what you guys have been able to show here at camp in a short time, just ahead of the point?
I feel very confident and I'm excited, very excited.
When you think back to your trash talking career, what's one example of the time you really got somebody?
Ooh. Probably at U of H when I was in college. You know, you get under someone's skin so much, they might throw a punch or something. So that might have happened at U of H, but, you know, we react. So, yeah.
What'd you say to draw a punch?
I couldn't even tell you. Couldn't even tell you.
All right, guys, next is Mr. Tua Tagovailoa himself.
It's pretty cool. It's an honor. I would say I don't know too much about it. But again, I think that's an honor.
What did you make of the way the president pronounced your name?
I mean, that's I don't think he's had the worst. I've heard a couple worse in Alabama. But it is what it is. I mean, I don't take that to heart. It is what it is. But he's a great guy, phenomenal guy. Just got to stay healthy. All of that. Yeah, I liked it. I enjoyed it.
How did that all develop?
I mean, I should ask you that question too, Bella. How did that all develop? I'm not too sure.
How do you like this last practice? How do you guys feel
I think that's what you want to see in a team practice, going back and forth. For me, on the offensive perspective, I felt today the defense had the best of us with what training camp had looked prior for us coming into today's practice. But I would say that's what you want. That's what you want to see. You want to see that back and forth. And if there's swings, you want to try to keep that swing as consistent on that side as possible. And I think they did a really good job with that in even situational drills today. So very proud of them. And we're all looking forward to going to Chicago and seeing what those guys have in store for us. Yeah, we're pretty excited. I think our defense is pretty excited as well. We have a lot of chirping going on back and forth with the competitive nature, with situational ball and then team drills. And so I know those guys are hungry to see the ball more, because I for sure wasn't letting them see the ball a lot this training camp.
Tua, how important is it to be out there with your teammates now for like 11, they're saying 11 nights? How important is that time for you guys to continue building that bond before the regular season starts?
I think it's going to be cool. I think that's going to be really cool. We got some things lined up with our rookies, and then lined up with the veterans and the rookies and our coaches to go out there and find some time to spend with each other, whether that's eating, whether that's going and seeing a movie, whatever that looks like.
How would you assess the job of the front five in front of you so far with regards to picking up all the stuff this defense can throw at them?
I think they've done a good job. Now, there's going to be things that we still got to lean in on, we got to focus on, that isn't always going to be there as you're, game planning for a team. So right now it's just the fundamentals and technique that they're working on with whatever calls we have up there, right? But I think as we start to game plan for teams, as we get closer to getting ready for the season, it should look a lot better for our guys. But I think they've done a phenomenal job up to this point.
How beneficial do you find joint practices?
I think they're really cool because they give you a different perspective. Because there's different ways callers call plays, different ways defensive guys run certain coverages and how they can get into different coverages. So you're getting a lot of the same things. It's just different looks and different ways and how they present them. I feel like these 6 years in the NFL have been in dog years. A lot of ups and downs, but a lot of growth, a lot of perspective throughout those struggles and challenges. And, you become more grateful for the things you have and where you are and who you become throughout those challenges and difficulties. So I would say that's what I've learned the most.
What were your initial thoughts on Malik Washington getting the award today and play?
That was solid. I'm happy that Malik got to get the orange jersey. Now the playlist, I don't know about the playlist now, but I was happy that he got the orange jersey, just not the playlist.
What do you think of the camps of both Zach and Quinn and the prospects of them getting a lot of reps in their first preseason game?
Yeah, I'm excited for them. They're working really hard. They're competing not just against each other and against myself, but within themselves, that mental battle that they're having. If one sees another throw a deep ball or a good ball and they complete it, the other not having to feel as if, okay, if I get that same play, I'm going to try to take that shot. If that's not what the play asks of you to do, that's not your job. Your job is to, distribute the play within the timing of the play, or distribute the ball within the timing of the play, and then you progress from there. So I think they're doing a great job, and we're really excited to see what those guys can do for us on Sunday.
Anything that's impressed you about Quinn so early in his career?
Yeah, I like how calm he is throughout everything. When it's a good play, sure, he'll celebrate, but comes back just super calm. He's cool, calm, collected, all of that. So you can appreciate that as a veteran.
I know you kind of talked to us a little bit about your evaluation process, but kind of looking ahead in terms of like the team that you guys will be facing these joint practices, Jaguars and Bears are kind of up and comers. Lions are reigning #1 seed in the NFC. Does the evaluation process change from team to team? How does it change?
No, I don't think it changes at all. I think that's why you have practices. So when it comes to those times where you go and have a joint practice, what are your fundamentals? What are your, are you doing the right technique? And if not, can we trust you or can we not trust you to do the right thing in whether it's a, situational moment where it's a third and whatever, or whatever else the situation could be. Can we trust you? Can we not trust you? And that's all it is, I think.
What has Alexander Madison shown you in this training camp, and has he surprised you in any way?
I wouldn't say he surprised me. I think what he's shown me and the team is he's not just a short yardage running back. He's broken a good amount of runs this training camp, and it's been pretty impressive to see. So he's got a nick for finding the right course, to gash the defense.
Saw Teddy Bridgewater back on the field today for the Buccaneers. Just got to spend some time with him. What does he bring to the locker room? And remember,
Teddy B. Teddy B's a unique person. When Teddy B came, he didn't say too much, but you can gauge a lot of how he feels towards players by the game setting. Because when it's game time, Teddy's just a whole different person with the energy, the aura that he brings to the guys on the field. I mean, he's a lot more talkative then than he is, throughout the building. He's just, hey, I'm just chill. I am who I am. That's what it is. But when it's time to go for game time, Teddy will turn up.
You have a younger brother that's doing football league right now. How does it feel being an older brother and doing all these things as well?
Well, for my younger brother, I think I would tell him, like, man, he must really love this, because he played in the CFL, then he went to Germany to play, then he came to Boston, I think, to play in the Arena Football League. So I think he got a little cooler gig, if you will, than me, with traveling, to different places and seeing things. But I love my brother. I support him in any and everything that he does, and I'm here for him for whatever he needs.
All right, guys, there you go. He spoke about what he thinks about the joint practice, how he feels about Madison, the running back, how the offense and defense are doing, and what they're planning to do in Chicago and Detroit. That's basically what Tua spoke about. Patrick Paul spoke about his personality, his Joker's personality. He likes getting under skin, and what he's done in year 2 to improve under Anthony Weaver's defense. Now joins presser number, the final presser, Ifatu Malafalu, or Iffy, like they like to call him.
What led to you starting camp on NFI?
Just some little injury I had right before leading up to camp.
Okay. How are you feeling now? Are you totally back?
Yeah, I feel good. Just following the protocol and working myself back and just following what the trainers and coaches tell me to do.
What do you see as the potential? It's very intriguing, you and Minka playing together, as far as how your skills complement each other.
Yeah, no, it is interesting. I think they, complement each other well, and I'm just, learning off him, and, he's learning off me, and we're just, bouncing off ideas and everything.
If you have any idea how long it'll take you to work yourself into game shape?
I feel like that comes relatively quick, but I'm just following the protocol that the trainers have for me and see where it goes.
You think you'll be in 11-on-11s over the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, I've already been in 11-on-11.
Oh, good.
So
we lost track of you.
Yeah.
Sorry if you already been asked this, but how anxious were you to get practicing with your new team?
Oh, yeah, I was definitely very, very anxious, but at the same time, just got to be patient and listen to what the trainers tell me to do.
How much frustration have you felt with the injuries, knowing that if you stayed healthy, you have the skills, proven skills to be an NFL starter?
Obviously, it's very frustrating, but I just got to keep faith in God and, the people that support me, and that's all I can do.
What have you thought about the other safeties back there, especially the youngsters, Tolbert and Saunders? It seems like we've seen some good things from them. Elijah Campbell. Yeah,
no, they're all very good in their own right. They all do different things well. It's been exciting to see them play and see them improve. Even just bounce off ideas from them and everything. So it's been good.
And then looking ahead, you'll be up in Detroit against your former team. Will that be good, bad, or handshakes and welcome? How would that be?
I think it'll be good. You know, I'm excited to see those guys, especially my teammates. You know, some of them I've been in touch with, but I feel like it'll be good just to see those familiar faces and everything.
All right, guys, there you have it. They spoke to Fatu about how he's been feeling, how he actually thinks he can be on 11 on 11s, which he's already been on 11 on 11s, and what does he feel going back to Detroit. There you have it, guys. Leave your thoughts down below, and like always, stay positive, stay on your grind, and go Dolphins.